Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Online students, I'm audible and I could see my screen here. Online students, I'm audible and you could see my screen, everyone. Yes. Okay. So where are we, guys? What are we discussing in the last class? We are looking into the ECMA features, right? On the weekend, we were looking at the ECMA features. We have seen like what are the new features which have been introduced from your JavaScript, which is like let keyword we have seen, const keyword we have seen, and var keyword. What is the difference of all these three? Next, for off looping control structure, for each looping control structure, set data structure, map data structure. I think we haven't yet covered, right? Okay. Next, extended parameter functions with default parameters, importing and exporting external JavaScript files. Those things we had to look into, right? Okay, so now let us go back to our regular HTML5. This is what we are talking inside your HTML5. Okay, so we are looking about the audio video tags, HTML5 image mapping. We have seen HTML5 semantic tags, new set of input elements. Those things we are looking into. Okay, so the topic for today is, what's the next topic? Application cache, right? Okay. So what do you mean by this application cache? Okay. Application cache is one of the concept using which we could able to make a web page to be available or accessible even when it is offline. Okay. Repeating again, what is the concept of application cache? The main advantage what we get is we could able to make the application to be accessible even when it is offline. So this is a very, very big statement, guys. If I say that, boss, you could able to use one of the web page when you are not having internet connection. Do you think it is possible? When I say that, boss, we have a web page which you could able to access it even when you are offline. Do you think it is possible? No. But now application cache is one of the new feature which is being introduced from your HTML5, using which we can make an application to be accessible even when it is offline. Let's have a look on this. And this example, we may not see it practically, guys, because in order to make it practically, first of all, we need to have a live server, the actual server where we have deployed the changes, and I should be able to disconnect the internet. And once we disconnect the internet, the class is going to get disconnected. So to avoid that, I'll just make you theoretically how we do and how do we create the files and all. Now, let us take a practical example that I want to create one of the application, which is called as ebooks.com. Okay, ebooks.com is one of the web page which is used to, we have created this web page. Under this, the very first thing what user will do is he will go to this welcome, or he will go for the login page. He will give his ID and password. He will be listing out the categories. Okay, what all the list of categories we'll be having? The categories like comic books you wanted, science books you wanted, mathematics you wanted, you will be going for this. And among the list of categories, we will be going with, after we choose the category, choose the one category, whatever you have, and explore list of all books and choose one book and start reading the book. Okay, so my requirement is I'll go with a login. Once I log in, I will be getting the list of all the categories, what all the categories you have. Once I'll be choosing the one category, I will be exploring the list of all the books. What all the books I'm having, I will be exploring on it. and I will be choosing one book among all the category. Then I will start reading the book from there. I mean, and how I'm going to read the book here? Through next and previous links. Okay. By clicking on the next link or by clicking on the previous link, I should able to load the books over there. I mean, I could able to see the page 1, page 2, page 3, etc. That is what I can load here. Now, after this guy, if needed, I can order physical book here. Physical book through payment. Okay. Now I say log out. This is the set of features what I would like to provide inside a ebooks.com. Any questions? Everyone so clear? Now I say that ebooks.com login is happening. Before this, you need to understand one thing, guys. When I say amazon.in, when I am opening this web page called as amazon.in, you should able to see some content on this page. Being a developer, what do you understand? Being a developer, what is happening on the background that you could able to see this web page? Being a developer, what do you understand that something, what happening at the background that you could able to see the content on the page? Come on. Is it not a piece of JavaScript code, a piece of HTML code, a set of CSS properties, those all getting executed? That is what your web page is. Agree or not? Now, when I say that I don't have an internet connection, could I able to access the amazon.in page? No. Why so? I couldn't able to go to the server. I couldn't able to get the HTML, CSS or JavaScript. That is the reason I can't load it. For example, I open this guy. Okay, this is the piece of JavaScript, HTML, CSS is there. I have a copy of this. I create a page and I paste this guy. I save this guy and I call it as local Amazon .html. I'm creating a local Amazon.html page. Now, if I open this guy within your default browser, could I able to load the Amazon page in my local? So what do you mean by this? So that is what happening, boss. Whenever you open your amazon.com page, background simple HTML, CSS, JavaScript is running. And output is what you see. See here, now Amazon, I could able to run it in local also. Why so? I already have that code. Implies if you have the source code of any of the web page or the piece of HTML or the CSS or the JavaScript of the particular web page in your local, you should able to execute the web page even in your local without having an internet connection. Agree, everyone? Everyone? Okay. Now the next point what I have is come back to your web page. Now you understood being a developer, you know that any web page I see, I go open gmail.com, when I could able to log in, when I could able to explore the products, when I could able to compose a mail, anything what I'm doing, everything at the background, piece of HTML, CSS, JavaScript is getting executed, and that is execution of the content. You see the output on your browser. That is what your background basic thing happens. Doesn't matter, irrelevant of whatever the web page you go for. Now I go over here. If at all I have to log in, okay. In order to log in, what I need to do, if I open login.html, I get the source code of login page in my local. Under this, I give my ID and password. Once I click on login button, what is going to happen? Do I again go to the server? Because server is the one who will tell me that whether you are a valid user or not. Now, when I go to the server, I will take the ID password, I will validate it, and I'm going to respond back to you saying that you are a valid user or invalid user, right? Fine. Now, once I got the valid or non-valid, I'm going to list out all the categories. Now I say choose the one. Now when I say explore the list of all the books, again I will go to the server. I will say that user has chosen something called as science. Now when I say science, I put a request to the server. Server will give me the list of all the books who are part of the science. Again, I could able to see it. Now when I click on, I want to read one of the book. I click on one book. Now the book got loaded. Is it not, I say next and previous, is it not a piece of JavaScript code? At the background, what all I have all the pages, 1 to 100 pages I have. Next button, I will hide the previous one. I will show this guy. Previous button, I will hide the previous one and I show this guy. That is what happens at the background. Yes or no? Now my requirement is I want to provide one small advanced feature for the developer or user. For example, I'm the one who is using your web page. I go to ebooks.com. There is an internet connection to me. I go to ebooks.com. I loaded login page. I could able to list the categories. I could able to choose the one, and I have chosen the book which I want to read it. I'm clicking on next and previous. I should able to see the pages are getting loaded. What if internet connection is down? When I'm at the 5th page, internet connection is down. Okay. Now, when the internet connection is down, when I'm clicking on next, in general, what you will get that page not found error, isn't it? Page not found, page not able to load, internet connection is down. That is what you're getting. What if I want to provide a feature to the user saying that even though there is no network connection, he clicks on next button, I should able to load him the next page. Is it not a benefit for the user? So being a user, when I could able to load the previous and next pages, even though I don't have the internet connection, I feel so happy. I feel like, wow, this web page is awesome that I could able to load the content even though I don't have the internet connection. That feature can be provided using your application cache. Okay, I'm not saying that I don't have complete internet connection. Now, please provide me an option that I could able to open ebooks.com. Not at all possible. What I'm saying is, once your web page is loaded, it is running, in between you lost your internet connection, still make him to continue to the next further things. That is what we call it as a application cache concept. Okay. Now, if at all I will say that, boss, make him an option. User is opening the book. He's clicking on 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. When I'm on the 5th page, I lost my internet connection. When I'm clicking on the next, I still want to show him a content. Then what is that at the background? Is it not whatever the piece of JavaScript or HTML or CSS, you make a copy in the local machine itself. Instead of going for the internet, you make a copy in the local machine itself, so that even he clicks on the next, I have the JavaScript local, I could able to execute it. Now, if you see, when I'm going for this Amazon in my local, this local Amazon.com, do you think it is going for internet to fetch the content? No, I already have the HTML, CSS code executing. That is what you could see it. So if I could able to have that copy of JavaScript code or the CSS or the HTML or the images in my local, I don't need to go to the server. I will be loading in my machine itself. If I don't need to go to the server, I don't even need the internet connection. Are we clear? Understood the concept? What do you mean by application cache? App cache is the concept of making a web page partially to be accessible even you are offline. Okay, even though you are in offline mode, still you could able to partially access it. I'm not saying the complete web page will be accessible. Partially, some piece of content I could able to load it even without any internet connection. That is what we call it as application cache, which is being supported from your HTML file. Are we clear? Okay, now let us go into this steps. What are the steps to be followed? Okay. The steps to be followed is, the first step is, if at all I want to make my web page to be accessible application, my web page to support the application cache, or my web page to provide a feature of offline access, first step what I'm going to do is create a separate file, which is separate file with extension dot app cache, which is recommended. It is not mandatory, it is recommended. I will say sample, something called as sample dot app cache. If you say that I will say .txt, it's up to you, you can give it. But recommended to go with the .appcache extension, so that anyone who looks into the file, they will automatically understand that it is a app cache part. Now, when I'm saving this, now what all the things you're going to work over here? Under this, we are going to have 3 blocks. One is cache management block. Under this, we have something called as network block. Under that, we have something called as fallback block here. Okay. Under an app cache file, we always have 3 blocks here. One is your cache management, one is your network, another is your fallback. Any questions? Okay. Now, under this cache management block, what all the things we are going to specify? Under this cache management block, we will be adding list of all the resources which should be forcefully cached. Okay, under the cache management block, you are going to list out all the resources which need to be forcefully cached. When I say resource, can I say JavaScript file as a resource? Can I say HTML file as a resource? Can I say an image file as a resource? Can I say a CSS file as a resource? Yes. So you need to specify the list of all the resources which need to be forcefully cached. Cached in the sense, browser will take a copy of it. I don't go to the server if I need it. I will be looking into my local machine itself if I really need that file content. Okay. Under the network tab, we are going to specify list of all the resources which should never ever cache it, but for sure to be loaded from server. Okay. So here under the network tab, we are going to list out all the resources which should never ever cache it. At the same time, it has to be loaded from the server. Are we clear? And now under the fallback, I'm going to specify alternative page to be shown for user while accessing resource which need network connection while user is offline mode. Okay, I will tell you what actually these guys. Let me copy this. I'll paste it into your running notes. Okay, this is how I'm going to specify under an app cache file. For sure, we are going to specify 3 of the blocks. One is your cache management block, another is a network block, another is a fallback block. Under your cache management block, we are going to list out all the resources which need to be forcefully cached. For sure, it has to be cached, will be added under the cache management block. Okay, example, I will say something called as books/data/asterisk or books list.js file. A JavaScript file which is under the books folder, which is under the data path, under the book list.js has to be forcefully cached. I will say images/books/asterisk.png. Any image which is ending with PNG under the folder called as books, under the folder called as images has to be forcefully cached. I will say some styles ***. Any of the file with any file name with any extension has to be forcefully cached. So you can specify list of all the resources which need to be forcefully cached under the particular web page. Okay. Now, what is going to happen whenever I open this index.html or main page.html? The first thing what it will does is, okay, do I have a file called as book? I will have this list here. What all the files to be cached? When I'm loading that file, if I have this file called as book list, have a copy of it in the local. So that second time I wanted, I don't go to the browser. I will be getting from the, I don't go to the server. I will be getting from my browser cache itself. Okay. In the same way, some images are there. Any image which is having a path called images/book so-and-so, I will automatically make a copy of it. So I don't go need to server. I'll be getting it from my local cache itself. Okay. Like this, you can list out all the files, list of all the resources which need to be forcefully cached into your local machine. Are we clear? Understood, everyone? Everyone? Okay. Now, under the network tab, what all the things you wanted? As I said you, for example, I go to the login page. User is not having internet connection. Do I need to make him allow for the next thing? No, boss. Login is the main thing. For sure, you need to do that when there is a network connection. Implies a file called as login.php JS. Do I need to forcefully cache that guy? Not at all. Any resource which need for sure a network connection has to be pasted under the network tab. Okay, any resource for sure I want to have the network connection, then you just simply add it under the network so that even by mistake also I'm not going to cache that guy. Are we clear? In the same way, I can say, for example, there is a payment, something called as pages, something called as asterisk dot asterisk. Now user is clicking on payment option. Do you think payment option will go even when I'm on offline? Obviously no. So I need for sure all those files should needed a network connection. Not even mistakenly, you cannot go with this without network connection. Are we clear? So this is how you could able to specify list of all the resources which it doesn't need an internet. I mean, which for sure need a network connection. Those things cannot be cached, has to be added under the network tab. Are we clear? Okay. Access what do you mean by this fallback block? Fallback block is an alternative web page which has to be shown while using the while accessing the resources which need network connection while user is offline mode. Now let us take this scenario. I will say user is logging in. I have a network connection. I am going to list of all the categories. I have a network connection. I am choosing one category. Network connection is there. Exploring the list of all the books. Network connection is there. Choosing the book. I started reading the book. When I am reading the book, my network connection is gone and still my web page is loading because user providing an option to access even when you are offline. Super fine. I feel so happy. I click on next, and I feel like, boss, this book is very interesting. I want to have the physical copy of it. What I will do, on the right top, you'll have something called as buy option. I simply click on buy option. Then you will be getting a payment pop-up and all. When I am in offline, when I am clicking on payment option, you are suddenly going to get a pop-up or the message saying that page not found. Yes. Now, being a user, am I not going to confuse? Being a user, what I will feel was, how come the web page is loading till now? It is super fine. But now when I'm clicking on payment, how come it is not working? Because I'm not a developer. If you are a developer, you know that web page, that payment option will only be done when you are internet connection, because payment option needed a server communication. But being an end user, do I know what do you mean by server? What do you mean by client, etc. and all? No. Now I'm going to get confused. How come this guy is accessible even when there is no network connection? All of a sudden, why it is showing like page not found? Instead of showing that page not found, can I show some custom web page saying that, boss, till now, whatever the resources you have loaded are needed, then those are like offline. That is fine. But now you are trying to load a web page which needed a network connection. Please try after some time with the network connection. If I show some this custom message instead of page not found, is it helpful for the user? Yes, that is what we could able to show it under the fallback block. So here what we are going to specify, any page, any content what user is asking, which is mentioned in the network file and the network is not there. Then I'm going to say that I'm going to show the, say something called as a page, which is custom page not found .html or JS file, whatever it is. I could able to show the custom HTML file. This is what you need to do under the app cache file. Are we clear? So app cache is the file under which we are going to specify list of all the resources which for sure needed a network connection. Which for sure which forcefully need to be cached, which for sure need a network connection, and what is the fallback file. When the user is asking for the file which is not available, what need to be shown? Those all things will be mentioned under the app cache file. Are we clear up to this? Everyone, online students? Okay. Now on the top, after creating the sample file, where you are going to include under your any of the web page. Say for example, this is ebooks.html. Under your HTML, there is an attribute, something called as manifest. Using your manifest attribute, I need to say sample.appcache file or any app cache file, whatever you have, that need to be added under the manifest attribute. Why only to the HTML tag? Why not to the body tag and all? Boss, before loading the HTML page itself, browser has to know which files to cache, which files to not cache, which file has to be shown on the fallback. Obviously, right? After the HTML tag only, we start including the link tag, images tag, etc. and all. So by the time browser has to get the list of all the things. That is the reason. First thing what I need to mention is app cache file under the manifest attribute. Now the browser got the rules and regulation what need to be done. Based on that, I'm going to load the web page. This is what we call it as a app cache concept in your web pages. Okay, let me show you some online examples. I'll say app cache manifest. Okay, if you see how they have created this, you see they have created a manifest under that example equal example dot app cache file. They have created one app cache file. And how they have created this, you see cache manifest. Either you can say cache manifest or cache management. Under that, he is saying index.html should be forcefully cached, style.css should be cached, under images logo.png should be cached. So these all are the files which need to be cached. I'm going to say to the browser. After that, I'm going to say the network. What I mean to say, under cache, these all are the files which need to be cached. Other than that, asterisk, in the sense, other than that, everything else needed a network connection. Okay. And fallback, he's saying that static.html. One static.html page he's creating where he can say that boss page is not accessible because you need an internet connection. So this is what an example. See how they are creating cache manifest, so info files, fallback, and network. Okay. So this is what your application cache means. Concept of making a web page to be accessible. And again, here I'm not saying that the complete web page will be accessible. Partially, web page will be accessible. Not from the starting itself. I want to make it accessible offline. Not possible. Only partially it will be accessible. Are we clear? Everyone? Online students, hope everyone is good. Can you repeat about fallback block? Okay, so Raju, what I'm saying is fallback block is the page which will be automatically loaded when the user is trying to access a resource. Say, for example, he is accessing this login.js, but it needed a network connection, but he is offline. Instead of showing him the page not found, I will show him the custom page not found HTML. Am I clear? So that you can give some extra information, because in general, page not found is a URL page which is not shown by us, which will be shown by the browser, isn't it? Now, if I try to access that guy when I'm offline, instead of web page or browser showing the page not found, we can show our custom web page here. Okay. What's our next topic? Sorry. What was that? Navigator object. Okay. So till now, we have seen some predefined objects in our JavaScript, right? Document is one of the predefined objects. Window is one of the predefined object. JSON is one of the predefined object. There are some predefined objects what we have seen. From your HTML5, a new predefined objects which has been introduced, which we call it as navigator. Okay. Navigator is one of the predefined objects which is being supported in your JavaScript from your HTML5. So what is the use of this navigator object? What all the information is available under the navigator object? The main intention of going with the navigator object is we could able to develop the web pages which are browser specific or operating system specific. Okay. So what do you mean by browser specific or operating system specific? I want to say alert. Thanks for using Chrome browser. Enjoy it. Okay, this is the message which I want to show to the user. At the same time, I will say, please switch to Chrome browser for faster experience. Okay, this is the simple two pop-ups which I would like to add within my web page. Okay, now the user is coming to this guy. When I'm running this guy on my Chrome, it is saying that, boss, thanks for using the Chrome browser. Enjoy it, super fine. But is it not also saying me to switch to the Chrome browser? So what I'm saying is, I want to add some intelligence to my content, saying that my content should able to understand whether it is a Chrome browser or it's not a Chrome browser. So how you're going to do that? Do you think I will ask the user, boss, can you please tell me which browser you're using? No, I can't use that. You would have seen in most of the web pages, guys, they say that, boss, please plug in your earphones for a better experience. Have you ever seen that whenever you're trying to listen any music, they say that, boss, please put on your plugin so that you for a better music. But if you plug in it, it doesn't show that pop-up. How come? Why it is saying? In the same way, some of the browsers will say that they say that, please switch